GM. Welcome back to another episode of Web3 Academy, your trusted source for useful and legitimate Web3 information so you don't fall behind the internet revolution. I'm Jay Bird, joined by my co-host Kyle Reedhead, and we believe that Web3 is going to change the world. That's why we're here to guide the world's top talent down the rabbit hole as you participate, contribute, and capitalize on the opportunity.
Man, it was great to have someone on the podcast that is building in the space of NFT marketplaces. We have been talking about NFT marketplaces, honestly, probably since we launched Web3 Academy. I feel like that was about the time that this whole thing started going a bit crazy last year. And it's just like, it's gotten crazier and crazier ever since. And you and I have just kind of said, given our opinions, just as founders ourselves and as someone who might be running a business, you know, if we were to be running a business in NFT marketplace, what would we be doing? What would we be thinking? So it's been a lot of speculation, and it's really nice to bring someone who actually is building the NFT marketplace space. And not only that, but like has been in the space and building in the space for a long time now with Rarible. It was really great to have Alex come on and get his kind of opinions on this whole crazy story that's been happening.
Yeah, and as you said, Alex Salnikov, who's on today's show, is one of the co-founders of Rarible, and he tells us the origin story of Rarible when it was just 5 of them back in the early days, because Rarible was really one of the first marketplaces. And then he takes us forward to what it's been like to navigate this space, to survive in this space. They've dropped a token. They've used a token as an incentive and a reward. And so he talks about what that's like and how does that work short term? Does it work long term? What does that lead to? And it also led into a great conversation about other marketplaces, OpenSea, Blur. What are they doing? Where is this space going in terms of fees and creator royalties? How are we making sustainable businesses? Are creators just going to get washed out by all the trading that's happening? This episode is just like a must listen. So much packed into it.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite parts, and it's something we do discuss quite a bit, but Alex painted such a clear picture of this, was kind of the difference of the two. There's two big kind of segments of the NFT marketplace. There's the traders, and then there's the people that are using this stuff that don't even think of them as financial instruments, right? These are the ones that just want to use this stuff for whatever it is, a game or for access to a community or whatever. And then you have these other people that don't even see them as that. They see them just as a financial instrument. And so marketplaces need to build for each. They're both going to exist, and that's great. Some provide liquidity, and it makes the whole system work, so you need it. But it was cool to see his thoughts on both, and then like how you build marketplaces for each and why each are going to need their own separate UX and their own different things. So that was kind of an eye-opener for me, and I thought he really explained that very interestingly for us.
And right now, we are in traders' world. Most NFT buying and selling is happening by traders. That's why most of the marketplaces are targeting that customer. That is where the current product market fit lies. But in the future, in a decade, in a few years, there is going to be hundreds of millions of people that are buying NFTs for, as you said, Kai, not because they want to make money off it and speculate it and trade it, but because they want to use it and because it is value to them.
Buddy, a decade? What do you say in a decade? Why did that word even come up?
I knew you were going to shut me down on that. I knew you were going to shut me down on that. Let's just take 1 minute to listen to our sponsors who make this show possible.
The future of social media is here, and that future lives in Web3 on top of Lens protocol. Web2 social platforms are broken and ripe for disruption. You see, the epicenter of social media is the creators, and yet they are the most neglected. Web2 platforms like Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram are all essentially robbing creators of their worth. Creators are a new type of entrepreneur, forming new types of businesses. Yet with Web2 platforms, creators don't own their content or their profiles, and that's their product and business. Instead, they are tied to the platforms they choose to create on. Well, just like how crypto is freeing us from banks, Web3 is freeing us from these centralized platforms. On Lens Protocol, creators own their content, own their profile, and even their social graph and followers in the form of NFTs. This allows you to move freely from one social application to another with your content, profile, and followers moving along with you. Lens Protocol enables self-sovereignty for your social graph and interoperability across the internet. At Web3 Academy, we believe this is the future of social, and that's why we've partnered with Lens to ensure that the path of social media is heading in the right direction. Visit lens.xyz to learn more today.
What if I told you that industry pioneers from flagship Web3 brands such as Consensus, Polygon, Binance, Unstoppable Domains, Ledger, and Uniswap will all meet up in one place this summer. You don't want to miss this. I'm talking about the Epic Web3 conference taking place in beautiful Lisbon on the 9th of June with over 20 curated talks, speed consultations with Web3 experts, networking sessions with investors, and even the opportunity to raise funds. This conference has it all, and you'll get the tools you need to succeed in this industry. Plus, we at Web3 Academy will attend and host a community meetup with you and the other smart community before the main event. So come along, meet us, network, and start building alongside leading Web3 innovators. We can't wait to meet you. Remember, Lisbon, Portugal, 9th of June. We've got a 15% discount for you, but ticket prices go up every few days, so get your tickets today by using the link in the show notes. Enter the promo code Web3Academy15 to secure your spot. Or if you become a pro member, you can get an even bigger discount. So go pro today, and we'll see you in Lisbon, Portugal on the 9th of June at the Epic Web3 conference.
Alex, welcome to the show. So happy to have you here today.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
We got the Rarible gang leader here on the show today. Super stoked to be talking all about Rarible. I mean, before we jump in though, just based upon everything that's going on, Alex, how are you doing? How are you guys doing? Like, what the heck is going on in NFT marketplaces right now?
There is a lot happening in the space, right? I feel like we're just in a massive hangover from 2021 still. I remember the beginning of 2021, and that was when everybody felt that we can do anything with NFTs. We're going to wrap DeFi into NFTs because it's more understandable. We are going to do tickets with NFTs. We are going to do everything with NFTs. And then you have 1,000 projects that take an individual niche and say, okay, we are going to do this with NFTs. And now we're still seeing that many of them just like can't keep up with the brands. And everybody is extremely upset about that. And we can't really do much. That happens all the time. You run 1,000 experiments and 100 of them is doing okay. 10 of them is doing perfectly. Lately it touched blue chips. And we've got like Doodles, we've got Azuki, we've got CloneX. Everybody's burned. Everybody's burned from the hangover. It's good. And we should all devalue our expectations from the industry to get back to something meaningful. And we should like rethink of what we'll actually do. There is a lot of cool stuff happening on the other side as well. Like Lens, every post is an NFT, every follower is an NFT. There is an on-chain social network based on NFTs, right? So some of that is wow. And some of that is, okay, people are expecting somebody to, I don't know, do something cool with their monkey IP. Monkey IP actually did good. Taking the key out of the ass of somebody, well, that's authentic. That's cool. Partnering with the big Web2 companies is much less cool than looking at psychedelic fraud.
Tell us, just to give a little background on Rarible, how big is your team? You mentioned right before we hit recording that you guys have got an office in New York and an office in Lisbon. How many people are on the team?
No, we are at 45 people now. It's a decent size.
What's it been like for all 45 of you, navigating not just the market changes, but then also these new competitors coming in, Blur, doing this big airdrop, OpenSea, creator royalties changing. Like, I can't imagine a business where every day as a leader in your business, you must just be like, oh my gosh, like, give me a break. Give me some predictability or some certainty here.
Let's say I don't remember when the last time I was bored. Just before starting Rarible, I had a big sabbatical of like half a year or maybe a little bit more. And the idea was that I'll do the like dopamine detox. I want to play games, stop smoking. I felt extremely bored. Getting back to your question, so we're a little bit ahead of the curve. We were the first to start partnering with Web2 companies, first to adopt Flow, first to get burned on that route, first to issue token as an NFT marketplace, first to get burned on that route. So there is a lot of stuff that already passed. And Blur will pretty much have the same. They will get a lower market share, airdrop will exhaust, but they have a great product. They will get a consistent market share. We don't know what that is so far, but it will be big. We can already tell. My prediction is like from 20% to 50%, maybe above 50%. but I don't know. We started as an art company, and like art needs your art, sell your art, and we've been always committed to long-term business models. So, and now our focus is communities. So there is a lot of stuff happening in the market every day, and there's a lot of opportunities to make money. There is a lot of opportunities to get rich. There's a lot of opportunities to get burned, and there is a lot of randomness. There is like, oh, this happens today, this happens tomorrow, today plus 10x, tomorrow minus 10x. And what we're trying to think is, what are the actual use cases of all that make sense? That makes sense that in the long run. Art makes sense. Okay, no question. There is a lot of digital artists that did not have ways to monetize their work. Now they have ways to monetize their work. Authentic ownership was the second one. The PFP is like 50%, 70% speculation, but there is still kind of feeling that something makes sense out of all this. So the community aspect makes sense. There is a lot of people that buy something just because I want to be in the community. I don't care how much it costs. I'm not selling. Oh, good. Some expectations of your IP to do something important also makes sense. It's fundamental. It's non-zero. It's like crowdfunding almost. Some artists got some money, created cool IP, and now we're all collectively own that IP. It's a non-zero sum game. It's not that I lost and you won. We both win out of this, me and artists. So it does make sense. The utility and passes make sense, like Super Rare Pass, Ledger Market Pass. And sadly, that's it, right? Art, communities, IP, gaming, music. Music didn't even happen yet. So that's it. The market is small. The market is like, okay, we have 4 use cases for NFTs that are here to stay. We've picked communities. Now we're dividing marketplace into community marketplaces. So have a home for your own communities. That was like first art, then communities. So that's how it is for us. We're okay. I'm 10 years in crypto. I want to build something that will be 10 years from now here and not pop tomorrow.
I'm curious, how many people do you think are in the NFT market right now? I know you can look on chain, but it shows, number of wallets, which is not number of people. And then I think a lot of the volume and stuff is like blown way out of proportion due to airdrop farming and wash trading. So I'm just curious, like when you look at the NFT market, how many people do you think? What are the real volumes? Like just give me an idea of the size of this market if you can.
OpenSea is pretty good estimation of that. If you'll go to similar web, you'll see the traffic to OpenSea. That's going to be tens of millions of people that had all heard about NFTs and just checked what that is. Probably tens of millions, maybe 20 million, maybe 10 million. At the hype, it was 50 million, but that's like very random. So pretty much out of my head, roughest estimation would be 10 million people look at NFTs, 1 million have NFTs, like 300,000 trade actively.
That's actually a really great breakdown because those are exactly what I would have said. When you said 10 million at first, I was like, no way, 10 million? That's too high. But you're right. That's 10 million looking. About 1 million actually have NFTs. And then 300,000 are these traders that are pretty much creating all the volume that makes it look like it's way bigger than it is. So let's take a step back here. I want to go back to the beginning of Rarible. You mentioned the use cases, and what was it that you guys saw when you first started Rarible? Tell us the origin story. How did you start it? Who was involved? Was it in somebody's garage? What was the grind like in the beginning? Give us that origin story.
Origin story, real quick. 5 people, founding team. We've been in a cafe. That was by the end of my sabbatical. I was extremely bored. I was researching the space, shooting all the links of anything remotely interesting to all my friends, like, oh, have you seen that? Have you seen this? Have you seen that? Have you seen this? And like, because some of the friends had tanked, like, yeah, but somebody was like responding, oh yeah, this is cool. Or one of the guys that I knew from 2017, Alexi, who is the CEO of Rarible, he was, yeah, that sounds really cool. Let's talk about that. And that sounds really nice. Let's talk about that. So we started just like talk much more about it. And then at some point he assembled us, a group of people, say, yeah, let's just brainstorm. Let's think about it. We're like eating desserts. I remember I ate maybe 4 desserts. So like bumping out the brain with sugar and a lot of green tea. So green tea and desserts. Okay, was like, what are we going to do? We are all submerged into the Web3 space. We're all already sold on the idea of ownership. We all own crypto. We all travel across the world. It feels amazing coming everywhere, understanding that whatever happens, like sanctions or whatever, I'm the owner of my life. This feeling of ownership, of being sovereign about the destiny sold on it. So what's inside it? What's inside it? Bitcoin, 40 minutes time to landing transaction, right? Dinosaur. DeFi is really cool into it. A little bit late. It's 2019, so most of the DeFi projects already in full swing. Okay, NFTs just started. There is infrastructure, there is wallets, there is on-ramps, there is everything, and the new wave of people will come. But there is almost no NFTs. There's CryptoKitties and a couple copies of CryptoKitties, and that's it. So again, this is the sector. Let's just do something. Let's just experiment. Let's do something in the sector. There's no many NFTs. Let's do a tool that will allow you to create NFTs. How would that tool work? Well, there was Super Rare where you need to register and wait 3 weeks until somebody would verify that you're a real artist. We're not we're engineers. So let's keep that part sovereign. You just connect the wallet and create NFTs. That's how it started, right? So just a simple tool, upload the picture, name, description, connect wallet, mint. That's it. We shared the DNA of being sovereign and not asking anybody about doing something. That was what brought the success to Rarible. That there are a bunch of creators that got kicked out from somewhere, or that didn't have time to apply, or that believe that it's insulting that they have to apply and somebody would tell me that I'm a real artist. What the hell? So all these people that were all sold on the sovereign ownership of your art, they all came to Rarible and started minting. So then we grow into marketplace, and then, okay, what's next after art marketplace? It's protocol and verticalized marketplaces. That's the story.
What was it like having the success that you have and that large explosion when all of a sudden you were the marketplace and everybody was interested and everybody was on board? What a wave, what a ride that must have been.
Oh yeah, excitement over the roof. I know what to compare it with, like Burning Man, just overwhelmed with all these emotions. You meet people on the street and they know who you are and they say Rarible is cool. All your ideas are amazing.
Awesome. Okay, let's jump into, I want to talk about the business of marketplaces, because it's not something that enough people are talking about. We're all talking about the wars and we're all talking about who's going to have the most share in the end. But like, how do marketplaces actually make money? What is the revenue model for these marketplaces? Are they sustainable? That's what I want to chat about. So let's start with Rarible. What's the business model for Rarible? How does Rarible make revenue currently? What do you guys see as long-term, how you're going to be sustainable and make this company, as you said, last for decades?
The marketplace business, it's an exchange business. All exchange businesses come down to the fact that order book has a network effect. Order book is like a mini social network. You can't opt out of Facebook because all your friends are on Facebook, but suddenly if all your friends now on Telegram, you're with them on Telegram, you can't opt out of Telegram. And the software can be all the same. You can create a copy of Facebook tomorrow, but it will be empty. So the marketplaces are about people interaction, are about the networks of people that come together to transact with each other. And that's what the marketplace and exchange business in general is built across. So we have seen the same in the crypto exchanges. We have a Binance, we have Coinbase, we have Kraken, we have Gemini. We have all these guys that are mini social networks. They're mostly constrained by their geographies. So finance is global, but not in the US. Coinbase is US, but not global. Gemini has a bit license in New York and whatnot. So you have these networks. Once you have this network of people transacting and the order book that is liquid, you have a constant stream of people that just come there to meet other people. You come there, you come to Blur today and you'll see better prices than another marketplace because of the liquidity. So the marketplace businesses get out there, gather that initial liquidity, establish retention, something sustainable, and then monetize. OpenSea started monetizing day one with 2.5% and grew to their order book really big. We started several months, we didn't monetize it, we had zero fees. And then we added token incentives. And token incentives are effectively negative fees. And we had zero fees, then we had negative fees, then we had 5% fees, 2.5 buyer side, 2.5 seller side. Now we are at 2% fees, 1% each side. So Blur started with 0, now they're negative. And if you read governance talks, they will do positive fees at some point with the governance decision, right? That's what they say. OpenSea started 2.5, they're 0.5. Embase has progressive fee scale. If you are just starting, you have much more fees. Then it goes gradually almost to 0 if you're a market maker, if you create a lot of volume. Robinhood is 0 fees and they monetize on additional services. It's all the same. You have an order book is defensible. You can't really just create another order book and have it work well day one. And it's what you monetize usually. And to me, the marketplaces started with the high fee, and now the more commoditized the trading becomes, the fees should drop. And we're seeing some inconsistencies. I have a feeling that the marketplaces will converge to something 0.3 to 1% fees total. And that would be fair, and that will not go even more down. 0 is not sustainable. 2.5% is probably not sustainable as well. That's the two realities we have. And the market didn't find yet what it is in between. Blur is running negative fees, but it will come to something like 0.5% fees long term, probably.
Very interesting. So, and I agree. I think there's got to be fees. This whole talk of it's going to go to 0, like, because Blur did that, that's not going to stay. There's just no way. Makes no sense. So it sounds like then the goal of a marketplace is I need liquidity. I need more people to bring their NFTs to my marketplace and put them up there. So that's kind of where the war is. And Blur has done an incredible job at getting liquidity, as you said as well. Walk me through the mindset of how do you get more liquidity? Obviously you can launch a token, like you said, these negative fees is what you're referring to there. You launch a token and you basically pay for people to come and give you the liquidity. Eventually that's going to run out. What's next? Is it find a niche? Is there something else, another model that I'm not thinking of right now? What are you guys thinking of in terms of that?
You either start a new network or you make people switch from one network to another. So when you're starting a new network, for example, a niche, right? And there is new art marketplaces that appear that say, okay, this special kind of art, generative art, NFX hash. Or you pay a lot to make people switch. Why people switch to Blur? Because the switching costs are there and they are high. So how much does it cost to switch from OpenSea to Blur? It costs several $1,000s. For top players, it costs several tens of thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands. If you share the ownership of the platform, and usually airdrop of $100,000, that's enough to switch. That's really the only two options. Either you do a new chain, new layer 2, a new niche, or there's tokens. It's something that we didn't see in Web 2. In Web 2, almost none of the projects had seen these flips. But with tokens, when you can share the big upfront ownership, that's really helpful. Another option would be to do the 10x innovation, right? So you do 10x value and people switch without the monetary incentives, but because it's something like MySpace to face. The experience is just so much better, you switch. And this actually happens in crypto a lot of times. In 2017, how many exchanges was there? At some point, the Bittrex was number one exchange. Then Polonix was number one exchange. Then OKCoin was number one exchange, or OKX. And then Binance. There was a lot of reshuffling just because there's always a new technology that makes everything better. L2 plus L3 plus account abstraction, it is the fast chain without the gas prices. If any of the current players sleep on that, right, then you have the completely 10x user experience. You don't need to think about gas prices and hang transactions. And now all of a sudden, okay, new player that comes exactly the right time to do that, flip everyone.
Jay, just 1 second. I just have a question on the token side of things. And maybe this is a little bit ridiculous, but I'm just curious. Most of the marketplaces now have launched a token outside of OpenSea. Do you get one shot at this? Is there a way that, you already said that Blur is going to run out soon or eventually. Is there something else you can do in terms of tokens? Would it be, I don't know if it'd be launching a different token. I don't think that would make much sense. Or is there something more you can do with your existing token? I'm just curious if you can walk through maybe a strategy where it makes sense that you can reignite your token to bring people over again, or is it you get one shot and you're done?
That's a great question. It depends on how ethical you are with launches. So if there is a big portion, like Axie Infinity, right? Probably one shot. I can imagine relaunching Axie. Now it sounds like I called Axie unethical. Sometimes this is not intended, right? But the more popular it is, the less shots you get. Axie team is great, right? They did not intend this to be that way. This is just happens. Sometimes you get a token economy in which the bubble effect comes where you did not expect that, and for a moment it's wow, but then wow, it's so hard to really launch. In that sense, Blur actually does feel interesting because it didn't go like up 10 times. It's relatively stable at price, although the market cap is relatively high for it. It's what, like 3 billion market cap, fully diluted. OpenSea secondary shares is like 1.5 billion. At the end stage, you can always think about token as the user acquisition. You pay for the user to come and then you get some kind of value. So you have a mobile app and you buy traffic for this mobile app and convert it into subscriptions. That's not bubble at all. There is a spend and there is an LTV. You can do the same with token. You can just spend token and get an LTV of the user back. That works too.
Very interesting. We talked about the revenues coming from fees, which makes complete sense. When Blur launched and it had no fees and everyone's like, okay, fees are going to zero. A lot of people thought, okay, maybe memberships, some sort of subscription model to use a marketplace, right? Like the SaaS model. Do you see that as a potential viable option for marketplaces as well? Or maybe you get some pro features or something if you pay for, $10 a month or whatever it is.
That's the model with which Robinhood disrupted the traditional markets. Zero fees, subscription. Alibaba has zero fees, and they charge advertising space. So you can transact whatever you want with zero, but then if you want to get promoted, you need to pay. But that's the only two examples I know, though. Most of them are just transactional fees.
And do you think that both those examples will come into NFT marketplaces? There will be one marketplace that goes after advertisers and wants to be that model. There'll be another one that has the subscription fees.
I don't think so. No, that's 2 out of 100. So maybe when we'll have 100 marketplaces for NFTs, 2 of them will do experimental. I think Blur will just do fees and everybody else will just do small fees, right? Uniswap was doing redistribution fees to LP, but then there is a very small fee that comes to the company. And they did, 40 million in revenue of that direct fee that goes to their company, not to LPs last year. So that's pretty much what will happen. Everybody will have fees, just smaller.
Amazon does both though, don't they? Don't they have fees for non-prime purchases or sellers? And then when you're prime, like if you go prime, you obviously get like pro benefits and you pay a membership. So don't they have both?
Yeah, and advertising too.
I want to talk about aggregator marketplaces for a second. So take us into how that fits in the space and how you think about that at Rarible and where you see that taking you long term and how that fits into a strategy of owning a percentage of the volume.
Aggregators it's like a debt, you kind of have to have it at this point. There is a lot of liquidity in other places. And if you don't have at least 5-10% market share today, then you have to have an aggregator. Otherwise, you'll just represent such a tiny fraction of the market. So for big marketplaces, aggregators are good unless they try to use that as a vampire attack. So Gem doesn't have its own order book. For everybody who's aggregated by Gem, it's actually a net positive. But if you're OpenSea and Blur aggregated you and aggregated not to be one more eyes on your order book, but to temporarily show both of the things and then cut you off, right? But you have works liquidity, then it's going to be dangerous. And so both Blur and OpenSea today are closing their order books for each other. Blur doesn't allow you to aggregate easily. They don't have public API, and they even have means for their private API to make it harder to aggregate. And OpenSea just released Seaport 1.4 to do the same. I think now they require one more signature. When you try to aggregate, you need not only signature from the user, but you need the signature from the OpenSea itself. This will become harder, competing with vampire attacks and aggregating to gain advantage, but aggregating to just be a distribution hub will continue to live.
And so if you're an aggregator, how do you attract the users? How do you ensure that people are using your service in order to buy when they can go to another aggregator and get the same option, same liquidity?
Mostly UX. So you come to one place and you see, top 24 hours collections. And that's a very basic way to navigate. You come to another place and you see, what's active in 5 minutes? Oh, who are the coolest community? Who are these artists that follow each other?
So do you see the marketplace industry going where there's like one that rules them all? Like, is it like there's one big one and the rest start to fizzle out? Or do you see that it kind of goes out to the edges and there's like, I don't know, millions of marketplaces and everyone has a marketplace? Like, where do you see the dynamics of this space going in the future?
It's hard to tell. We're seeing the divergence of retail and pro use cases, like e-commerce versus trading.
Mm-hmm.
And e-commerce is, I want to buy something, I want to buy digital sneakers and I want to play with my friends and the new FIFA with the digital sneakers. And this was kind of created for that and not for trading. And there is another part that is like, let me buy that and then shit all over Twitter that my company doesn't deliver what it's promised. And if you're trying to go to the second use case that you don't really care about items, art or something, you care about, whether I'm at the right time. So
you are being the NFT.
You see Tensor, it's like an exchange on Solana, you see magically, and you come there and the first thing you see is the chart. The same as on Binance, you see the chart with moving averages with the candles with the volume. Even on Blur, the chart is like right down in the corner, and you see the order book at the front. But there is a next generation of them that is just chart. Okay, forget about the NFTs. It's the same as ERC20 tokens. Let's just trade. If it's a good time to enter, if it's a bad time to enter. Convergence. And for the exchange route, it feels like they will converge to the one big or several big, while for e-commerce, it will just like proliferate, fractionalize. You want everyone have a marketplace, like Shopify, Gucci store. You don't go for Amazon to buy Gucci, that kind of things.
And is that the focus for Rarible now? Because I know you guys are focused on community marketplaces. So you're smiling because I'm teeing you up here lead us into why you've decided that strategy.
Yeah, that's our focus. Digital items are cool, right? They're fun. E-commerce experience, verticalized experience. It would be sad if NFTs, such as Big Promise, just converged with ERC20 tokens and it had the same purpose. It would be sad. We want clone X metaverse bodies with wearables. We want cool things. And these cool things, they just don't fit the same UX. Every one of them wants to have different UX, slightly different, branded, fun, tailored for community, tailored for use case. While exchanges, I don't care what I'm trading, same interface. That's why we're going vertical and protocol that is a decentralized infrastructure that allows the new generation of multiple storefronts that are all unique and tailored to their specific use cases.
Just to summarize this a little bit, you're kind of trying to take the financial side of NFTs out of it and like make it about the utility or about the experience or about the community or whatever it is that NFT offers. And so you're saying there's kind of going to be two. There's people that see NFTs as a financial instrument, and it's like their UX, their interface to buy and sell these things is like charts and technical analysis and like all that crazy stuff. And then there's people who like don't even think about this thing as a financial instrument. It's like this is their access to go play a game with their friends, or their access to enter whatever community or event or concert or whatever. And that interface, that UX to buy those things, whether they're ever going to sell them or not, maybe not, like that needs to be very, very different than those who see this as, like you said, charts and TA and all that kind of stuff. And they might be buying the same things. It's just people are going to see them as very different reasons of why they're buying it. That's kind of what you're saying here.
Exactly. Yeah. Perfect summarization.
It's very interesting to see the NFT market like that. And I think we always talk about that, Jay. We're like, look, there's a bunch of speculators, there's traders, but there's something else to it. And I love that that's what you guys are kind of catered towards is really cool.
It makes me think that like one is the Bloomberg device that every trader has on their desk, and the other is Shopify that allows anybody to make their own store and sell their own stuff and have more control of the UX. So how are you guys approaching this? I know you have two products. You have your marketplace builder and you have the white label. Tell us about these two products and how they work and how they offer a creator or a community the opportunity to create their own marketplace.
It's simply we didn't have that product at all, right? So where we started with a white label. We found some partners that said, oh, we want our own marketplace. No, okay, yeah, that's cool. Let's build your own marketplace. We built them a marketplace. They said what we need. And then there is 10 of them. And then there is 100 of them. Okay, we're probably going to do a tool that will allow you to build it yourself. And that's why we built it too. We digested the knowledge of what are the most common denominator across the white labels and created a tool that is much less powerful, but you don't need to be in the pipeline and you don't need to wait. And the white label is monetizable. You need to pay for the upfront piece. So you come to the self-service tool and you create your own marketplace. And self-service tool, it gradually becomes more and more complex. Today, we just have the ability to add multiple collections to it. Just before, like almost half a year, was just one marketplace, one collection. And we had 2,000 marketplaces created with one marketplace, one collection. So it will grow and grow and grow. And at some point, you'll have an admin page that, okay, select one of the 10 designs and tailor everything and select your own collections and connect the manifold and Zora and everything as a primary minting tool. This is the just big diverging directions into the no-code tool of Marketplace Builder. And we'll always have a white label because this is where you get an input, a lot of input. The company comes and say, oh, we want to build something that was never built. Build that for us. We want this cool, innovative stuff that doesn't exist in the scalable way of the market. Let's build that. So if you want to build something cool and innovative, just, let's talk.
Link in the show notes for Alex direct email.
Walk me through some reasons of why someone who's using NFTs in their business, you can choose the type of NFT that is the utility. Why would they want their own NFT marketplace? Like, what does that do for them and or their community rather than just like go use OpenSea and sell it there? Like, why would a founder want to have their own marketplace? What examples are you guys seeing?
One big example would be, okay, it is the business that just got used to control everything, right? Someone like Fox or McFarlane Toys, they don't have intersection with other audiences and just come, drop, and make a drop, create your own community, spend the marketing budget, and just send everyone away. It feels very weird. And pretty much the same logic applies to Web3 companies. You did a massive drop. You spent several $100,000 on marketing. You assembled several 100,000 people in your Discord. You rallied everyone behind the drop. And then you send everyone away to the marketplace. That's great. You've got liquidity. You've got some other eyes looking in your collection. It got to the leaderboard. Again, you got something back. But then you want to do one more drop and you don't even have the emails of all the holders that own your NFTs to say, okay, there is another drop happening.
Let's talk about royalty for a second. What are your thoughts on royalty? I mean, I feel like I don't even need to ask a question. Yeah, what are your thoughts? Are they going to stay? Are they going to go? Is it going to be possible on chain? You know, we keep hearing that there's tons of developers that are working on making it on chain, but then it's like, there's always going to be somebody who comes and builds a workaround. What are you seeing? Where do you think it's going?
Yeah, funnily enough, it's going to be random, you know. There was several projects in 2021, 2020 that tried to create royalties for ERC20 tokens. They were called like a debasement tokens when every time you send your stable coin, the fee is taken out and then redistributed to all the stable coin holders, something like that. And it didn't work.
I was going to say, I'd never heard of that.
So that's exactly why I never heard about it. Because for liquid assets, you want the lowest spread. Blur disincentivizes spread was like list lower, bit higher. You want higher velocity. You want somebody to be able to enter and exit the asset real quick with the same prices. It doesn't make sense to tax transactions. And not only for marketplace, for the founders too. If you're a founder of a liquid asset, you want it to be liquid because that is what allows you to have better people entering with more bags, and the ultimately floor will be bigger for the projects without the royalties for the liquid asset. For the art, the royalties make a ton of sense. You buy an art and you want to sell it 10 times higher. You don't care to pay 5%. It's very just like identity based, culture based. Makes a ton of sense to have it. So this is two things. Now the market is also in this state when not necessarily fundamental things happening. Sometimes it's a random, someone did something and then another one did something else. So there's a world in which we're just like losing royalties for everything just because it doesn't work for liquid assets, and that we don't have any good way to differentiate between these two. There's a world in which, okay, we lost it all. There is a world in which somebody came up with the on-chain ability to enforce it, and we continue to enforce it for all of that, just again, because why not? So fundamentally, I think for art, it should be for liquid assets.
Yeah. To be honest, the other use case I always thought of is tickets. Taylor Swift's recent concert being such a great example. There was tickets to her show selling for tens of thousands of dollars because people really wanted to see her. And there's no money flowing back to her as a result of that. Right? Not a single extra dollar goes back to the person that really deserves that money. So yeah, I agree. I think if there's going to be some where it sticks and some where it doesn't.
Yeah, I think for tickets, it also makes sense.
Though I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot of people trying to flip concert tickets if those go full on NFTs. There's a lot of money to be made there.
Scalpers. Ugh, gosh, yeah. Before we get to start to wrap up here, I'm just curious, what are you excited about? Whether it be something that nobody's working on that you're excited about, whether it be something internally that you guys are working on that you're able to share with us, or whether it's something else that you're just, hey, I think this is going to be cool whenever it happens. I'm not going to do it, but somebody's going to do it.
I'm excited about innovative minting. I feel like, we had CryptoKitties that were living creatures with DNA living and breaking on chain. And after that, we went all the way back to it's a flat picture uploaded to blockchain. Okay, that may be necessary to just for everyone to get the idea of NFTs, but we need to get back to the idea of it's dynamic. I'm excited about interoperable 3D items between games and metaverses. You wear the same shoes, you wear the same items, you have the same avatar flowing through the games.
It's a lot more challenge than just like making an NFT. How far are we away from that, would you say?
Couple of years, 2. Next bull run will have much more interesting use cases. That always happens like that. You're hungry in bear market, everybody ran out of money. Okay, your brain starts to think.
Got to build for the future. Okay, awesome. I want to get to a speed round, but before I do, I want to just give you a chance, Alex. Anything else that you want to tell people about? You mentioned if anybody wants to white label a marketplace to reach out to you guys. Anything else you want to shill, or please tell people how they can find out more about Rarible or find you online.
For the innovative minting experiences, up to try to build something cool with you guys again. If you hear this show, just like drop me a message on Twitter. It's Insider0x on Twitter, or just Rarible. You'll find somebody in DMs.
Awesome. Let's just do a quick speed round before we wrap here. Couple questions, Alex. First one. So this might be a tough one for you. Usually, what's an NFT you'll never sell? I should ask first, how many NFTs do you have? Are you a big collector? Are you a big trader?
Relatively not. I have something like 200, 300. Most of that is art that was somehow got to me when building Rarible, buying some random things. Out of the blue chips, I own like CPG, Doodle, and Meffer, and a couple smaller ones. And for some reason, when you ask that question, I think a Meffer. I might not sell a Meffer because it's just like vibes.
It's an identity, right? You relate to that brand, to that identity, as does that whole community. And MFers is, that has been a consistent community floor price, and changing in that aside seems to be. I'm not an MFer holder, but we've had a few MFers on the show, and they always actually mention that community. Mm-hmm. Are you using AI at all right now? And if you are, how are you using it?
Oh, that's a great one. I recently had ChatGPT, the previous one, the third version, to generate the Rare token manifesto, and it was great. It wasn't even a Rare token; it's like a Rarible token manifesto. And he knew that Rarible has a Rare token. He knew what it means. I used that. I need to use more. I know. I fairly got used to selling emails and just content.
It's amazing, its capabilities. Alex, this has been a blast, man. What an incredible show. Just so much to bring to the space. Thank you for everything that you've built. Thank you to your whole team. We need more builders like you in the space.
Thank you for an amazing conversation. I loved it. Thank you for doing that for the space as well. Let's bring it forward.
Thanks for everybody listening. Have yourself a great day.
Thank you for listening to Web3 Academy. We hope this helps you along your Web3 journey. And if it does, please share this episode and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Nothing in this podcast was financial advice. Crypto and Web3 can be risky. You can literally lose it all. In fact, if you invest on account of what we say, you probably will lose it all. So don't do that. In all honesty, the point of this podcast is to remove the noise of markets and price and focus on utility and implementation anyway. So you should not take any of this as financial advice. Thank you, friends, and see you in the next one.